A lot of discussions across America about the labor shortage. Was it unemployment benefits? Was it pandemic? Was it just a difference in the way that people think? Well, we're getting some actually very interesting new data. Let's put it up there on the screen. A new paper from the National Bureau of Economic Research finds that a majority of the post-pandemic shortfall in the labor supply is people who are working fewer hours, not people becoming non-workers. Cutting back is especially most common amongst high-earning men who worked very long hours before the pandemic. So let's actually read exactly what they say. Quote, although the pre-existing trend of lower labor force participation by young men without a college degree accounts for some of the decline, the intensive margin accounts for more than half of the decline between 2019 and 2022. The decline in hours amongst workers was larger for men than women, and amongst men, the decline was larger for those with a bachelor's degree than those with with less education, for prime age workers than older workers, and also for those who already worked long hours and had high earnings. Workers' hours reduction can explain why the labor market is even tighter than it was expected at the current levels of unemployment and labor force participation. I like this because it dispels a lot of memes. One of the big memes in our society, especially more of like a conservative meme, is unemployment made it so that people refuse to work. And you could have credibly claimed that until we cut unemployment off more than a year ago, and we still have a huge labor shortage.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, okay.
In fact, remember the states that did it first, they actually saw their labor
go up.
Yeah, it got even worse for them.
Right. So they had worse unemployment, so it was unemployment, or at least unemployment maybe had something to do with it, but wasn't the whole story. And predominantly, the whole story just is, I don't want to work a crappy job. I don't want to work as much. I want to spend more time with my kids. I mean, if there is any one solid benefit to pandemic, it might actually be this one. My only hope would be that, of course, people who are actually working class and not bachelor degree holders, which is more than half of the population, would get the same benefits to work less hours than their white collar counterparts.
100%. But I do think that this reset in the way people view their lives and reprioritize their lives, I think it's nothing but positive.
I agree.
I mean, people, these are the type of workers, so you're talking about relative high earners, college degree holders who were forced to work remotely during the pandemic. And then many of them were like, you know what? Work is not everything. I actually like my kids. Turns out I kind of like my wife. It's kind of nice having like other priorities in my life and having other things than just define me, other than just who I am in the workplace ultimately. And then you couple that with the data we talked about last week, Saagar, of which jobs make people the most like miserable doing them.
Like lawyers.
And it's like lawyer and banker. Those were the two most miserable professions. And in general, it was like white collar workers. Now, again, I want to take all of that with a grain of salt because some of the occupations that they said that were the happiest were ones that were, you know, difficult and dangerous. And you have a lot of blue collar workers whose work is, you know, very difficult and can be degrading the way that they're treated in the workplace and low paid and all of those sorts of things. But it still was kind of revealing that the things that were making people the happiest, not only in terms of their occupations, but where they want to spend their time, had nothing to do with this like miserable office existence. So some rebalancing of those scales, I do think it's a tremendously, tremendously positive thing and better values for us to have as a society as a whole.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, I have multiple friends who went to work in high finance and it sucked the soul out of every single one of them. I don't have a single one that survived more than, let's say, like 3 to 4 years. It just burns you. You get basically burnt to the core and then they all end up going do something else. But again, this is a white collar discussion predominantly. So we don't just need like, you know, for all of the talk of white collar people cutting back, like we just had a whole episode where guys who work on a railroad literally can't get one paid sick day.
I mean, for me, the big hope would be that because this group of people has so much cultural power, that the fact that they have a shift in mindset helps, to use a terrible term, trickle down to everybody else. That would be like the big, grand, optimistic vision. But I mean, to be really serious, I do think that a resetting of priorities and a resetting of values is just a genuinely, genuinely good thing. All of the panic about the labor force participation rate dropping, I think, is silly. I think this is from like the boss class and a lot of people who, you know, really liked it when they had this labor oversupply and then you had like too many workers for the jobs and you could just treat them as disposable. So any rebalancing of the scales in that direction, in my opinion, is a positive.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, guys, we'll have more for y'all later. Hey, guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.